Hey everybody, and welcome to Exodus. This is my summary of the basic story, and we're going to get right into it. Now, the story starts in Egypt, where the Israelites have become the vast majority, apparently, of the country, and yet they are slaves. Now, the Pharaoh, wanting to reduce their numbers, commands that all male children be cast into the river. Only daughters are allowed to live. One woman, who didn't want to kill her son, makes a little boat for him and sets him adrift. The Pharaoh's daughter spots him and basically adopts him and calls him Moses. And Moses grows up a prince of Egypt. And one day he finds a burning bush, hears the voice of God, and sets into motion Exodus. Now, Moses, in this conversation with God at the burning bush, reveals his character to be, well, a coward, actually. I mean, he insists several times that no one will believe him, that he's not a good speaker, he can't handle the pressure, all this stuff. I mean, he's being commanded by his God to do something, and he basically whines the whole time. This is a continuing theme throughout the rest of Exodus as well. But God decides to fix this. He's going to bring Moses' brother, Aaron, in on the whole story. And he gives the two of them some miracles to perform to convince people. He also says, and this is very, very important, the Pharaoh will agree to let the Hebrews go. And God will prevent that from happening. But more on that later. Now, Moses and Aaron ask the Pharaoh for 3 days of freedom for the slaves so that they can go pray in the desert. The Pharaoh says no. Moses then goes to God and says, "Why aren't you intervening? Why aren't you doing something to help us here?" Which is a good question. And God says that the promise He made to Abraham will, the covenant got passed down to Moses. And then God reveals his name to be Jehovah. And he didn't actually answer the question Moses posed to him. Moses and Aaron return to the Pharaoh and do their magic trick of turning a stick into a snake. The Pharaoh is unimpressed for two reasons. Apparently he has wizards that can do the same thing, so not a big deal. And God forces him not to be impressed. So there's the first plague, rivers of blood. Now, I'm not going to go through all the plagues here. They are all pretty much the same story. I will highlight a couple of things, though. First, the Pharaoh is willing to let the slaves go fairly early on in this story, and God refuses to let him. Second, Moses gets told by God quite clearly that he will not let the Pharaoh say yes, because God wants to create more plagues so that there will be a better story coming out of this. Now, the final plague, after the Pharaoh has wanted to say yes already like 7 times and been forced not to, God commands the Israelites to kill a firstborn male lamb, slaughter it in a particular way and eat it in a particular way, and then smear the blood of the lamb all over the door to their house. And then God will know to skip that house when he goes murdering every firstborn son of Egypt. Then the Israelites are told that they are going to be allowed to take anything they want from anybody they want as they're on the way out of the country. And to help facilitate this, God will make the Egyptians think the Israelites are great and lavish them with even more gifts and kind of throw them a big, celebratory going away party. And to celebrate this bloodbath, the Israelites are to keep this day holy as Passover forever and sacrifice all firstborn male animals to God. Now, as the Israelites are leaving, God makes the Pharaoh mad so that the Pharaoh will go chase after the Israelites who have already gotten away. And here we have the whole thing about Moses parting the Red Sea and then releasing the waters to drown all these soldiers who were not going to come after them in the first place. Now, as a final note on this part of Exodus, I just wanted to mention that there are 3 plagues that are said to have killed all the cattle in Egypt. So they must have been really dead. Now the second half of Exodus turns a pretty significant corner, actually, and starts talking really about the rules that God has for his people. Now they starts off really with the Ten Commandments, probably the most famous set of rules ever, but they're not really the ones you think they are. At least they weren't the ones I thought they were going to be. God initially gives Moses the 10 rules we're familiar with that you see in pop culture references to the Ten Commandments. But Exodus then goes on and lists dozens and dozens and dozens of other rules, and some are reasonable, like be nice to strangers type of thing. Others are just vile, like if a master gives his slave a wife and they end up having a child, that child is the property of the master. The people build a temple to God and worship him and everything, and Moses disappears, and he's gone at Mount Sinai to get the commandments. And he also gets instructions for all kinds of other things, how to make proper robes that are going to be holy, how to make altars, how to make oils, and all this stuff. But the people don't know where Moses is. He's been gone for a long time. They're not really sure what's going on. So they decide to pray to try to help him. Aaron makes a statue of a calf out of gold, and the people start praying to that in an attempt to help Moses. And as they're doing so, Moses comes down off the mountain with the Ten Commandments, the 2 stone tablets, sees that people are praying to somebody other than Jehovah, and gets outraged, smashes the tablets with one of those commandments being thou shalt not kill, that's important, and then has 3,000 of his own people murdered. Anyway, once Moses returns for his second trip up Mount Sinai, he gives his people all the instructions that God had given him for the robes, the oils, and all this stuff. And among these instructions is those for building the Ark of the Covenant. So the people build everything that they're commanded to. They put the tablets in the Ark, and this is used as part of the temple, where they go in and sacrifice animals on a regular schedule. But this set of commandments is not the same as the first. It is not the ones that people are familiar with. Some are pretty close, but some are really far off. Now, I'm going to have a complete list in the description, but I'll give you a couple of examples. You rest on the 7th day, right? On both sets, it's fairly common theme in this part of the Bible, not surprising. Thou shalt not boil a kid, baby goat, in its mother's milk. That's a commandment? Really? Anyway, thus ends Exodus. And you have no idea how difficult it was to get through that without showing complete disgust at every line. But that is for the next video. So, thanks for watching, everyone.